Good afternoon. This is Terry Provee at Helpful Hints and Helpful Tips About Life. This is episode 3 about parenting. I have Sandra, who is a mother of 2, who have joined me today on the show. And we're here talking about how important the mother and the father is in a child's life and how they should be recognized as the superheroes because they are the ones who are at the front line molding the future of the world and our kids. So, that being said, we're here to get an understanding that um, raising kids is a on-the-job training. There's no book of instructions that come with that. So it is a matter of you're growing with your kids and you're doing what your gut feeling, what you know is right or wrong, that you've obtained through life with your parents and what other outside influences that you've had. So with that being said, Sandra, we've got a few questions, about 3. The first one is, what did it feel like when you first became a parent, your first child? You have a son and a daughter. And when you first had the child, how dramatic was it for you? Did it change your life? Were you all of a sudden now overwhelmed? Go ahead, you go with that.
Okay. My firstborn is Marcus. He's 37. Um, the first time I saw my son was when he was born, but he was born at 4:45 a.m. in the morning. So they took him to the nursery and they told me later they would bring him to me around about 9 or so. So I'm waiting and I'm waiting, I'm waiting. And they didn't bring my son to me. So I climbed out the bed and I went looking for him.
Yeah.
So I'm asking the nurses, where's my baby? Where's my baby? So finally, they like, okay, we're going to bring him to you. I say, that's what you said an hour ago, and you haven't brought him to me. Anyway, and this is the time my mom came out for me to have the baby, but she had some business that she needed to take care of in Arizona. So I told her, Mom, just go. The baby's not coming. Just go. Well, he came while she was gone. So she comes to the hospital and she goes to my room and she's looking for me. And she's like, well, where's my daughter? Like, is that feisty one walking around talking about where's her baby?
Mm-hmm.
So that was my first experience as a mom. I wanted to see him and make sure he was okay. I was 21 when I had him. So I didn't know much about babies. I had a younger sister that I helped with, but I didn't have that attachment as unconditional love from the very beginning, because this was the baby, the body, the human that was growing inside me.
Exactly.
So when it was scary because now I'm responsible for a person. So it was scary. And my husband was a big help. In the middle of the night, he got up, he fed the baby. Every time he cried whatsoever, he handled his part. I won't slight him in that. However, we separated when my son was 9 months old. So here I am now, sole responsibility for this little one. So now I got to be grown up. I have a responsibility. I'm responsible for a human being. I need to make it happen. I need to give him the best life that I can offer or that I can give. So it no longer came to be about me, but about him.
Exactly. So, with that being said, that dramatically changed your life from having a good time as a 20-year-old or 21-year-old. So now you've got this person that is dependent on you. So this was a drastic change in your life. Okay. Now, drastic change physically, psychologically, just the whole ball game. Just everything had to change. Okay. Now, question number 2. You have a son and a daughter, so your approach can't be the same on each one. Your approach with Marcus between the ages of 12 and maybe 16, which is very hard age for a kid, and even harder on a parent. Okay. But before we get to 12 to 16, let's go from 1 to 7. What was the adventure like then? I call it an adventure because it's always an uphill battle. So what did you find?
1 to 7. Well, it was teaching a boy how to go to the bathroom. Us girls, we sit down. Correct. Boys need to stand.
Correct.
Boys need to aim right. So
that's a mouthful.
I had to teach him to aim right. At 7, his little life changed because his little sister was born. They're 7 years apart. So at first, he didn't want her. But let me back up a bit. I became a surrogate parent for my sister when she was 10, because that's when my mom died. So I had my son and I had my sister. So I had 2 that I was responsible for now. Getting her in school, getting her straight, seeking the help that she needed to get through our mother's passing. But anyway, back to Marcus. 7, his little sister born. They don't want her. But that was a change for me. I had him at 21. I had her at 28. She was premature. She scared me because she was a little bitty thing. She also had febrile seizures when she was a baby. I thought I was going to lose her a couple of times. So her was more don't want to lose her. So I was a little bit easier, but not much, because I was hard on my sister and my son. And I told all of them, your job is to get good grades in school. My job is to take care of you. Make sure you have everything that you need. Make sure you have some of your wants. And keep this roof over your head and foods in your stomach. That's my job. Your only job is to go to school and get good grades. So that was understood. The difference between my son and my daughter is my son is laid back. He's calm, he's cool, and that's how he'd always be. He was like that in my womb. My daughter, on the other hand, she's competitive, she's aggressive, she's a go-getter. And she was that way in my womb. She would not be still for nothing. If I was moving, she was moving. If I was still, she was moving. She was always on the go. But with my son, I wanted him to learn how to do some cooking, the cleaning, so that he wouldn't depend on a woman to do it. If he got out on his own, he would be able to maintain himself. He can cook for himself. He can do things for himself, what he didn't need a woman for. With my daughter, I showed her things in life. I took her places. I showed her different cultural things. I showered her with things that I didn't want her to look for in a man. So she wouldn't be easily swayed when he showed her or give her something. She's like, oh, la, la, oh, he did this. I'm going with it. No, you've already experienced that. Let him come with something more. Let him come with something better. Um, so I think that's the difference in them too, plus their personalities. They're still the same. One's still laid back, one's still a go-getter. What I can see mostly from me that my son has gained is when he's talked to me, he reminds me of the things that we went through together, but we got through them. What he does not remember, like he told me once that I made it look easy, that when he became an adult, here comes the rent, here comes the lights, the gas, food, all of that. He's like, Mom, you didn't tell me about that, but you seen me do it. You went to places with me to pay these things. You know they had to be done. So that's what he got. My daughter, she's different. I think she emulates my work ethic. Both of them emulate my work ethic. They both remind me of their childhood and how what I said or what I've done impacted the way they see things. With my daughter, I used to just throw big words at her when she was 5, 6 years old. And she could come back when she got older in school and say, Mom, the words that you taught me or had me look up, because I would just throw the word out and she would ask me what it means. And I tell her, go look it up, which is what my mother did to me. Mm-hmm. And she said, now it came back to her, those same words in later grades, that she already knew what they were because I had already, given her those words. But the responsibility of children or having children is not taken lightly. It's serious. You're responsible for the first 5 years of their education. Mm-hmm. What they see at home, what you teach them, everything, what you say, everything, because they're walking tape recorders. Exactly. You're their first defense. You're their first lesson the first 5 years.
I have one more question, slightly different than planned. Now, can you give us an instance where discipline had to come up because of repeatedly or having to reiterate right from wrong, situations where some people say, as they say, spare the rod, spare the child. But I've never known a butt whooping producing serial killers, rapists, thieves, and molesters. I've never known getting a butt whooping for that to happen. Now, I don't make this recording to say you're supposed to go around just beating your child for something to do. Right is right and wrong. Right is right and wrong is wrong.
It is.
With that being said, do you have maybe an incident that you could bring up? It doesn't have to be named by who, but bring up and say, this is how I had to correct or get Candace or Marcus to understand this is wrong. And I can't keep telling you this. And the only reason why I'm spanking your butt, because down the road, you're going to be responsible for this same wrong, and the discipline will be something different. Do you have an incident, maybe?
I was pretty stern and strict with my children. They were spoiled with strictness, as I was. I was spoiled, but my mother didn't play no games.
Correct.
So I got my behind whooped when I needed it whooped. Mm-hmm. My children, on the other hand, they weren't really bad children. There was an occasion, if I told them to do something, they didn't do it, I may have gotten into them, but they weren't bad children at all, neither one. With Marcus in school, with parent-teacher conference, the teacher told me he thought Marcus knew more than him. He said he thinks he knows more than I do. So, I listened. But on our way home, I told him he has his degree. You got to get your diploma. If you know more than he does, shut up and listen. With Candace, my constant thing to her was be quiet. She finished her work in class and started talking. Shut your mouth. Every teacher throughout her whole entire education, up into college, I didn't go to college with her. Up until college, they were saying, well, elementary really. She is an excellent student. She's an A+ student, but she talks. My solution to them, give her more work.
Give her something to do. Huh?
Because she said, but Mom, I finished my work. And I'm like, why did not finish? Sit there and shut up. That's what you do. And I told the teachers, give her more work. And that's what they did.
Very good.
They gave her more work.
You got cooperation. You got cooperation from the teachers. That's good. Well, that's a way of doing it too. So with that being said, we're going to wind it down. And I want to thank you for coming on the show and giving us your point of view as a parent and helping us understand that, yes, it's on-the-job training. It is on-the-job training.
It is.
And people ought to know it is a big responsibility. Don't take it lightly because you're producing, that is your product. You are producing a product that goes out into the world and represents your efforts. Now,
can I say 3 other things? Just 3. When you have children, it's no longer about you. You come secondary. Those kids come first.
Exactly.
Second, young women, stop using your children as pawns to get back at their fathers. Children need both parents in their life, not just one.
Correct.
Both. You're hurting that child. You're not hurting that man. You're not. I forget what the other one was. Those 2 is most important.
Yes. So, like I said, thank you for coming on our show. It has been a pleasure. You have been great. Hopefully we can call on you again down the road on another segment. So this is Helpful Hints and Tips About Life. We are saluting the real superheroes, which are the parents in the world. So we thank you for your efforts.
You're welcome.
Until next time.
You're still